Well, the story goes now, very famously, that Romulus, as the first king, needs to settle and populate this new city for which he's laid out walls. Where will he get inhabitants? And so, like King David in the Old Testament, at the cave of Adullam, he gathers together the offscouring of the countryside, the ne'er-do-wells, the brigands, the robbers, the exiles who are running from the law. And David says, "You're welcome here." So you have all these criminals who come and settle the city of Rome. Well, now, where will they get wives? The local neighboring tribes are not very likely to give their daughters to this kind of men. And so the Romans famously come up with an idea. They're going to have a festival, invite the neighbors. The neighbors will bring their daughters. And at a given signal, the Roman men will jump out from hiding and grab the daughters of this neighboring tribe called the Sabines and carry them off and make them their wives. And so we have the very famous story of the Sabine women. It's often called the rape of the Sabine women, rape in the sense of its earlier etymological meaning, which is capture or seizure. And so you'll see there are a number of famous paintings in history, including some famous Renaissance paintings that showing these bulky Roman men hoiking young Sabine women over their shoulders and hauling them off with robes trailing and so on. Very famous story. And in fact, many of you are probably, if you like your old Hollywood movies, you're probably familiar with the famous movie Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, done in the 1950s. A lovely Hollywood movie, which is centered on this story. As the story goes, we see them reading Plutarch, who also tells this story. Plutarch tells the story of the capture of the Sabine women. And so these seven brothers, isolated in the mountains of California, capture some local village girls, and they take them to their cabin, and eventually the girls fall in love with them and they get married. So there's a modern retelling of the story. It's a very famous story in history, and deservedly so, and becomes the subject of a lot of art. In the movie Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, they're called the Sabine women, and so there's a play on words. They pronounce Sabine, S-A-B-I-N-E, as Sabine, which sounds like S-O-B-B-I-N apostrophe. They're sobbing out of grief. So there's a play on words, and they construct this lovely, delightful song about it, and so on. But it's a very one of the most famous stories from Roman history, and this is how this criminal band gathered in Romulus's town get their wives. The story goes that the women are wooed by the husbands who treat them tenderly. The women do fall in love with their husbands. They have children, and then they're attacked by their former families, the fathers and brothers. They attack the city hoping to get the women back. And now the women have to intervene, and they interpose between their husbands on the one side and their fathers and brothers on the other side and make peace because, as they point out, whichever of you guys wins, we lose. If our fathers win, we lose our husbands. If our husbands win, we lose our fathers and our brothers. We want to keep all of our men. So the women bring about peace, very interestingly. And so now Rome settles down and grows peaceably as a monarchy.